And we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to the Podcaster Nation. And I say welcome back because I know you were just listening to one of our other episodes and you wanted to come in and get even more. And let me tell you, we've got more. We got all kinds of more. This is the place for more because this is the podcast that's about podcasters. It's for podcasters and it's done by podcasters. And my guest today, you guessed it, is a podcaster. I know you're tired of hearing me say this already because you've heard all of our episodes up until now, and I love you for that. But I'm going to keep saying it because it's my opening shtick. That's how we go. This is the podcast that's for all of us, folks. The rising tide raises all ships. That's how we operate. That's what we do. That's what we're here to do today is find out about another awesome podcaster, another kick butt podcast, actually multiple podcasts because these folks are busy over here. Let me just tell you. Let me introduce you to the host of the Blown Pistons podcast and so much more that you're going to find out about in a few minutes. Welcome to the show, David Shannon. David, how you doing, man?
Good. I'm glad to be here. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm glad we could connect, brother. I mean, it was a little bit of a battle, but we got it done, right? I mean, what is it like 9:45 p.m. that you and I are doing this right now?
yeah.
Gotta love that dedication, right? That's how podcasters go.
hmm
All right. So first, tell everybody about Blown Pistons podcast, and then you got the network, you got the whole platform, you got other podcasts. Just let everybody know what you're doing, man.
All right. Well, like I said, I'm the host of Blown Pistons podcast, an automotive-ish type show because I mean it gets off the rails. It's like, do you remember the show Home Improvement?
Oh yeah.
And then he had the Tool Time,
Yep.
which was kind of like Tools-ish.
Hmm.
That's kind of like how Blown Pistons is. It gets off the rails so bad. I mean, we've had episodes where we've had like to be really professional. I mean, we've had retired NASCAR drivers on. Um, uh, girl that was driving monster trucks, which I totally lost my stuff because apparently the Southern accent makes me lose about 50 IQ. Um,
I'm going back to find that one now. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
that's one of the first ones, and I totally screwed up her truck's name too because her truck's name was Jailbird, and since she was like 17, I accidentally called it Jailbait.
Okay,
So yeah, there's that.
I can see where this is going. All right, man, just keep rolling.
And then so I mean we've had episodes to where we've done live events. I mean, over here in Wisconsin, there's a big show there's a town called Wisconsin Dells, and we've done Automotion, which is a huge car meet. In like I think it's in April or May, I forget. But we've done live shows, and yeah, that was another one where we were supposed to stay PG. I messed up within 10 seconds because all of a sudden, I mean, it's like 80, 85 degrees, and this one chick walks by wearing Daisy Duke shorts, and I'm just like, holy shit. I mean, it just went out the window right away. So, and I mean, we've done all types of different type shows. I mean, we've had another great guy that's from Australia. And at first I thought, okay, this is going to be an easy PG show. No, it went off the rails pretty quick. Those guys are great down there. Um,
Okay.
and I don't know if you ever heard of like the Sea Breachers, where they're like half submarine, half boat. They look like the sharks and dolphins and stuff like that, where you see them go underwater, they come up and do flips and go back down and stuff.
Okay.
Well, we had the gentleman that did that on Rob Innes, and amazing guy also there.
Cool.
But Blown Pistons has been around since 2015. And I mean,
Wow.
yeah, we've got, I believe right now, because there was a year or so of a hiatus. But we've got right around 85 episodes, I believe, with that one now.
Okay.
And one of our latest ones was with a great group of guys from Arizona, um, the Lowrider podcast. And they're amazing too. If anybody gets a chance, those guys are great. Um,
Awesome.
but yeah, I mean, we've done everything from like checking out cars and stuff to basically the best way to get lucky in the back seat of a car. I mean, it's all over the place.
That's cool.
So
I
that's,
can't move like I used to, so I'll probably just stay away from that one. You know what I mean? I'll probably just end up hurting myself.
oh, I can't either, but minivans are great.
You're cheating now. Okay, I got you.
Hey, it's if it's bigger and got more room, when you get a cramp or something, at least you can stretch it out a little bit.
All right, cool. Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, I mean, Blowing Pistons is pretty much just an average car guy's show. So we don't like to just stick with something boring or, just like just talking about like the average stuff. I mean, we've had Adam Ferrara on from Top Gear and stuff like that too, and he's a great guy.
That's cool.
But that's one of the coolest things about like doing Blown Pistons is I've got to kind of meet a lot more of the car group and stuff like that. And some of the guys you think, oh, they're on TV, they're stuck up or something like that. No, they're not. Most of the car guys you actually meet are a lot like you or I. I mean, one of my biggest things that my bucket list, I'm trying to get like Jay Leno or, any of the big name car guys on. But so far I haven't been able to get there.
Nice. When this comes
Working
out,
on it.
send when you this comes out, send the link to Jay Leno.
Oh yeah, I will.
Send this link to him because he'll find out all about you. He'll be like, "Man, that guy said my name. Nobody says my name anymore," and you just might get him.
Oh, I know. I've tried like even like Elon Musk. I tried to get him on, called him out, and I even did a thing where I bought a bunch of those little Tesla truck Hot Wheels, and I kept going on every night and like crushing one. It's like till you come on, I'm gonna keep crushing them. Well, he obviously wasn't listening, and it's like I got sick of buying little Hot Wheels, those little Hot Wheels, so I gave up on that.
I mean, that's an interesting strategy though for promotion. I mean, do you everything you can to like I don't know, piss them off and call them out?
Yeah, pretty much. It didn't work.
That's great. That is great.
So yeah, I mean that's Blown Pistons is just we've been around.
Awesome. I mean, nine
So
years you've been doing this.
yep.
9 years. I know you had a hiatus, but goodness gracious, 9 years. Wow, brother.
And we've had people come and go, and you know, even though sometimes they've left on bad terms, everybody that's been associated with doing it has been great.
That's
So
cool.
I
That's
can't
really
say
cool.
enough about them because really without them, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice and very gracious too. So that's cool. Now you have other podcasts
Oh
because
yeah.
it's like your family has. I mean, everybody in your family I think has a podcast at this point, but I know your wife does for
Mhm.
sure.
Yep. She has Living Well with Bad Habits, which is a like mental, physical, wellness type show.
Hmm.
And she's had like sexual therapists on, um, narcissist therapist. She's went on and just talked about herself and what she's been through and her battles in her life. Uh, and I know we've had like I believe I'm trying to think now because it's been a little bit due to personal reasons. We haven't been able to put another one of her shows out right now. But um yeah, she's had quite a few guests on. She actually had a female race car driver. We did a crossover show between Blown Pistons and and her show
Hmm.
because the race car driver we interviewed was Rita Goulet,
Okay.
and she runs in the Arkham Menard series. But she's a police officer too, and been through a lot of stuff and her struggles and stuff. And it worked really good as far as a crossover show. And it's not something you ever really see as a blown piss or a automotive wellness crossover show. So it went off pretty good. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm trying to remember everybody she's had on there. It's just she's had a lot of great guests on there. A few doctors. So we had one on there, Dr. Russell Kennedy, and he was great. He and it's been over a year, and I'm trying to remember exactly what all he was on there. But yeah, it's just all the doctors and everybody that we've had on her show. They're absolutely amazing guests. I mean, sometimes it does start out a little sluggish and trying to get everything going, but the moment everybody opens up,
Yeah.
and you learn so much from people that you didn't know, and then you start talking, and you start learning more about yourself that you didn't realize, and then you actually realize, hey, I'm okay with talking about this sort of thing, and it's just, yeah, her show is great in that aspect.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead. Yeah.
she also had a gentleman that has another podcast that I should probably give you the link to.
Great.
He's really big on autism, and I can't remember the name of his show, but his name's Sam Mitchell, and
Okay.
he's a great guy. He's I think he's like 18 or 19, and he's a really cool kid that's learning how to deal with all his autism and a lot of that type deal stuff. And he's amazing to listen to. He's got a couple seasons of podcasts out there. And again, I can't look it up right now because I don't want to screw anything up on my
Yeah, no,
computer.
it's all good. Yeah, for sure.
But I'll definitely make sure I send you the link on that and maybe see if I could, hook you guys up because he'd
I'd
be
love
amazing to have
I'd
on there.
love to talk. Now, is this by any chance? Is this the kid that Ashley interviewed?
Yes.
Because that's the one of hers that I got to see. So that's the kid you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's sharp, man. Uh,
Yeah, he is.
yeah. Okay.
I
Awesome.
was I was amazed on like how well that interview went too, because my wife, since like all of our kids have kind of a sort of like autism, and she even thinks that like I'm on the spectrum in a sense because of how I act and everything.
Okay.
But um yeah, she just wasn't sure on at first how to take how he talks or what he's going to talk about. But once we got to meet him, man, he's great.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I thought she handled the interview great. And that's not the easiest thing, what she was dealing with over there. But I thought
Hmm.
she handled that interview great. It came off very, very well. I just wasn't putting the two together when you were just talking about this guy. I'm like, wait. Is that the guy?
Yep.
So yeah, awesome, man. That's really cool. And I know, it, yeah, you guys have so much going on. I mean, it's
Oh yeah.
ridiculous that you have any time to do anything. Um, and if you want to talk about any of that, it's up to you. But I'm sure that everybody would love to know. I mean, how do you get into doing that podcast? How does your wife get into doing her podcast? I mean, multiple podcasts in the same family is actually very uncommon. Because one person's usually spending so much time, the other one's pissed off. So, I mean, but how does this come to be? I mean, with you guys?
Well, a lot of it's just the fact that I know I've tried when we first started dating, I managed because we're a blended family. But when we first started dating, I got her on a couple of like my podcasts and she really liked it. Then another podcast that we'll get into, she was actually a guest on with some friends of ours. And then she decided, hey, I'm not really seeing anything out there that I want to listen to that really describes what I'm looking for. So that's when she decided to start her own. And our network didn't have anything like that at that point in time. So we were talking about it. The one guy that originally started the network, because we actually bought the network last or a year ago, March.
Okay.
And when he originally started it, I had been on him for a few years about, we need to get like either a wellness show or get a female show back on because we used to have one a long time ago, which didn't end real well. And
Okay.
so, but we wanted to get something going again, and my wife had talked about it, and it took her probably about a good year. And finally, which she kind of got a little pissed at me about, I kind of pushed her into it. But then when I pushed her into it, she decided, hey, I really like this. And she realized the fact that she could talk to the people she wanted to talk to, and it didn't have to necessarily be the people I was bringing on.
Mm,
So, and then once she got like her first episode, you can kind of tell it's a little rocky at first, but once she got going and she just jumped right into it, and now she can spend, we try to schedule like a good hour for our interviews.
yeah.
She'll end up doing like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and she could keep going. And it's like I've had to sit there and because I'll produce it and just kind of sit off to the side and I'll be like, babe, we're running out of time here. Sorry, you've got to, I'm not trying to be mean, but we got to wrap it up.
Right. I
So,
know.
but she does absolutely amazing at it. And then she's taken a little bit more of a step back right now, just due to with her, because she's going through fourth stage brain cancer right now. And
Wow.
she told me again what the name of it was. some glaucoma. I always forget it. It just always reminds me that, it's four stage. It's tumors on, she's got a couple of them on her brain stem and in the pond system.
Wow.
So she's going through chemo and radiation and yeah, it's really affecting her and she gets wore out so much. So she just hasn't really had the time to do too many shows lately.
Right.
So as soon as hopefully if we can get everything going in the right direction again, she wants to start doing some more shows. She's got a couple ideas for some guests and she's trying to get more back involved with it. I mean, she's got a couple people that are ready to go, but they're like, just take your time, worry about you first. And that's what we're doing right now, just trying to get her back up to where she can actually, do some stuff without getting so worn out or, you know, actually wanting to do more talking and stuff like that. Cause she gets wore out in about 10, 15 minutes and
Yeah, for sure.
she'll spend, she spend, she tries her hardest to come out and do some things, but she gets so wore out so quick and then she's basically back up in bed and it just yeah, it's never, a good thing, and especially what she's going through. She's trying to stay positive and we have teenagers, so that doesn't help a lot.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and they don't understand the severity of everything, and we've tried to explain to them and stuff like that, but they get it, but they don't get it. And I mean, our youngest one is 10 and he doesn't fully understand. He just knows, hey, this is not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's wanting to get back more into everything.
Yeah. I mean, she
So,
seems like a real, I mean, kick-ass lady, to be honest with you.
oh
She
yeah.
really does. So, I'm glad I got to meet her real quick in the pre-interview, but and I didn't know if you were going to talk about any of this today. I mean, I'm glad you did, as long as you're okay with it all. And like I said
Oh yeah.
before, brother, praying for you and your family. I mean, nonstop. I I know it's empty and we don't really know each other that well, but if there's anything I can do, I mean, if you need help with the podcast ever, whatever, I mean, call. Anything I can do to help you guys out, because I can't even imagine what you're all going through right now.
Well, I'll probably have you on an interview for one of ours if you wanted.
Oh, name it. Dude, you name the time and place. I'll be there. Whatever you want to talk about, you got it. I love to talk. So that's fantastic. But yeah, man. So now let's get back on track here a little bit.
Okay.
You guys own the network,
Yep.
because you kind of slid that in a little bit. And I think a few of the podcasters are like, wait. You own your network? So
Hmm.
give me a little background on that. How do you come about to own your network, and what does that mean for podcasters who don't really know how that works?
Well, it's a lot more work.
More work.
Um, but it is kind of nice because we have the freedom to do what we want. We can set up our shows how we want. We can work on our own time frame that we want to work on. But we basically, what it was a friend of ours that owned the show. He owned one show on the network, and he gave me the right to do whatever I wanted to do with my show, which I'll give him credit. His name's Gary Hammer, and he started it back in 2013 with one show. It was called Shots from the Balcony. And that was a show where basically anything went. And the easiest way to describe it, and this is how he always said it, was assholes talking about assholes doing asshole things. And
All righty.
he always said that it started out with a keg or basically a case of PBR, and that's how everything got rolling. And then I come along in 2014. I got joined in with a friend of ours at the time. He's like, "Hey, you got to come check this out," and which I did, and absolutely fell in love with doing it. And it was nice because I could have a few beers or anything and just talk about anything I wanted. We tried to keep like religion and like race and stuff like that out of it, which we
Sure.
did pretty
Yeah.
good for the most part. But I mean, yeah, it's just been a blast from there. And then like I said, we took over the network in 2013 or 2023, sorry. We decided that it all came about because I wanted to get more involved with what was going on because I was pretty much like the right hand person on everything at that point. And he decided that he was just kind of he wanted out and wanted to go a different direction. So we struck up a deal, went through, bought, all his equipment and basically took over everything at that point, all the rights to all the rest of all the shows and all that stuff. And at that point in time, there was two shows on there. It was his show and my show. No, I take that back. My wife had started her show at that point. So there was the three shows on there. And when we kind of took it over, we just kind of went from there and decided to make it more of not just an adult atmosphere, but more for our kids too, which I mean, our kids have, we have our oldest son who has, it's called Bad Habits to the Unknown, which goes from everything from like cryptids to hauntings and anything that has to go along with those lines.
This is your
Uh,
son. He's got his own podcast called that.
yep, yep.
Oh, see, this is what I
Which,
mean. I knew there was so much more.
and then we have, and he's one of our 20-year-olds. Our next one is Jaden, he's 18, and he's got a show that's called The Adventures of Jay. And he's the one that has the autism, and he actually has a rare form of Down syndrome called mosaic Down syndrome.
Hmm.
And he goes on and he interviews people. And it's really interesting what he can come up with because he's got such a vivid imagination. It is just unbelievable. I mean, his first interview he did was with me. He's interviewed my wife, which, his mom. He's interviewed his brothers, and just he gets so far off topic at times, but it's funny, and he does an amazing job.
That's great.
And then our 17-year-old has a show where he goes out and it's more YouTube based, which I've still got to go through and edit the first video. It hasn't exactly gotten out there yet, but it is haunted habits, and he goes out and does ghost hunts.
Wow.
So we've got that. We went through a couple cemeteries a couple weeks ago, and I've still got to go through and edit everything and see if we found anything. And
Oh, get
there's
out of
that
town.
one.
Get out.
Yeah.
So this kid's actually looking for ghosts.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Because he's decided after high school, which he's graduating this year, he did say last time I knew he wanted to become a welder, but he wants to do paranormal investigations on the side.
Wow, okay. All righty. He can have
So,
that.
well,
I
some
mean,
of it's fun.
I believe you, man, but I'm one of those guys like, hey, if the ghost isn't bothering me, I don't want to go looking for
Well,
it.
we've actually, what kind of got him into it was I used to do security at a campground, and we do ghost hunts there with a couple of our friends, all the security guards. We go around to do it. And I think at the time he was 8 or 9, but he ended up wanting to go with us. And so we took him, and we didn't think we caught anything. And it was really interesting because the way the campground's set up, you walk in and you've got like a reservation room, and then there's a door in between that, and then you've got the store. Well, we tried trying to get anything we could in the reservation room, couldn't get in there, but we left a tablet playing or recording in the reservation room, went in and did some ghost hunting in the store because there was actually stories about like bread flying off at people and everything, which again, didn't find anything. But the guy that went home and took the tablet home, he was looking through it. You could hear us asking questions and you could hear the door shut in between. So it was a heavy door, so you can't hear us in the other room. All of a sudden you hear do 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 do. Hey girl. And we're like, whoa, because my son at the time had really long hair to his shoulders. And he's skinny and everything. So I mean, at a distance or whatever, you might think, yeah, it could be a girl. But that when he heard about that, that really got him going in it. And then ever since then, he's been huge into like horror, anything ghost, anything spooky. I mean, he he loves it. And that's one thing he wants to do is he wants to just find these haunted places and go through, and he'd love to make a living at it, but chances are he knows that it's probably a slim chance that he's gonna make that. So, but he loves building stuff with welding, so that's what he's wanting to do.
Could be one heck of a side hustle, though,
Oh
man.
yeah.
Oh
Oh yeah.
man,
You ever watch any of those guys like Ghost Adventures and stuff like that? And those guys, they do some amazing stuff. It'd be cool to see what they see.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably, get scared to hell. Like, just I can handle stuff, but I can't handle when something's throwing it or when they're like, "Oh, this is the portal to hell." It's like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
getting
No.
on that one.
No. 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 You can keep that. So yeah. No.
Exactly.
All right, we got to get back on track because no,
Sorry.
we're not doing no. So the ghost thing, cool. Let's move on. So are all these shows on your network then?
Yep, we have them all on our network.
Okay,
We actually have like a YouTube channel too, because we have another son that does just strictly YouTube, and he builds stuff. It's Bad Habits builds, and he does a lot of like Legos and stuff like that. That he builds the whole thing, and like I'll go through, edit it, kind of fast motion it because you're not going to want to sit there and watch him go one little piece at a time. So we
right.
speed it up quite a bit, and um, we've actually got a lot of good feedback from that one. Um, and then we're trying to get our 10-year-old show up and running. He is doing a show called Mini Pistons. He wants to
A 10-year
interview,
old.
yep. He wants to go through and interview like kids that are doing race cars and stuff like that, like race car driving and that. So
Wow.
that's what he wants to do. Plus, we've got a side show that's scientific creature. Oh my gosh, what is scientific creature phenomenology? And I don't know if you've ever heard of SCPs.
No.
They're like made up cryptids. Like there's this whole big following for all this stuff. It's like, I mean, you have stuff like Bigfoot and all that on there, but then you've got like there's one where a guy that can't die. He's their test dummy and like gets shredded and all of a sudden pops back up. And he goes in and checks on all these SCPs, or like they have uh a wind do you know what a Wendigo is?
Yeah, that's like the Yeti, right?
Kinda. It's the one where it's like a deer skull where the antlers are coming out, and they derive from like Native Americans with uh that have went into the woods and like became cannibals and stuff like that.
Oh
There's a
wow.
whole
Okay.
yeah, there's a whole big thing to it, but they've actually got one SCP where they have a Wendigo skull locked down, and it's just everything that's involved with it. It's really cool stuff, and most of it's make believe, and there's no copyrights on anything, so you can go on and kind of do what you want to with it. And you can also add in
Uh,
your own if you have ideas for them too.
so the Wendigo, they did like a show on that or something, didn't they? On like Amazon, a bunch of girls and something was in the
Oh
woods
yeah,
with a big deer head. Is that what it was? That type of thing?
yep, yeah.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
have to go
there's
back and look at that
Wendigos have been
now.
in folklores all over.
All right.
Yeah, because they kind of ride along the same things as like skinwalkers and stuff like that.
Okay, let me just tell you that
So
when I
there's a lot to it.
when I got on the phone or the mic here with Blown Pistons podcast, I had no idea we were going to be treading through the supernatural. Okay, like this. So so power to you for having all of that flexibility. I've got shivers going down the back of my spine right now. I was not ready for this. Probably needed to bring a cross in here with me or something. But it's all good. How many shows do you have on the network then?
Right now with the ones that we've got up and running, I think we've got 9 of them. And then the ones we've got a couple in the works. Oh yeah, I forgot too. We have a small business podcast
Okay,
that my wife and I co-host together.
okay.
And we've actually had some pretty interesting guests on there too. So we try to make light of like people that have got small businesses that are trying to gain some traction. And we've, had a few interviews with some of those people. And I mean, they're all great too. And it's been really fun. I mean, one lady, the last one we did was a show that getting back to kind of the supernatural stuff. Her antique shop is called Totally Not Haunted Antiques.
Of course it is.
So
What
I
else would
mean,
it be called? Yeah.
exactly. But I mean, we've had people that have made like furniture and stuff like that on there, and we had a photographer. That was our one of our first shows. So it's been really interesting to learn
Hmm.
what other people do with their small businesses and stuff like that. So,
Now, what's the name of the small business podcast?
but all about small business. It's not a real original name, but
Okay, but that's what it's called.
we looked and nobody took it yet.
Now, how do people find all these
But yeah, that
podcasts
one,
and your network, these podcasts and your network and everything else? How do people find that? Are you on like all the main platforms type of thing, or do you have to go to a
our main
website type deal?
spot
How's that
that,
work?
yeah, we are actually on a bunch of different platforms, like Google, iHeart, Spotify, all those. But the best way to look those up is by individual podcast names. Otherwise, if we use Spreaker a lot, and if you go
Mhm.
on Spreaker and look up Bad Habits Network, it'll actually pull all of our shows right there, and you can watch everything right on there. Plus, then if you go to YouTube and do Shannon Family Products,
Mhm.
BHN, that brings up our YouTube channel, and that actually has videos of most of the shows that we've done. And I'm still trying to get like our the older shows, the shots from the balcony and all that, because we actually haven't we're not doing that show anymore, but we're trying to get all those remade and get them out there where we can actually push them a little more.
Okay,
Oh yeah,
gotcha.
we have another show that we've got a couple. Man, I keep forgetting everything we got going. But we have um man, what is it? Oh, backyard or yeah, backyard bullshit, which is basically an anything type deal show, kind of like a next version of Shosh from the Balcony. We have
Okay.
we also have a Bad Habits movie club or Bad Habits movie night one. And that one was just well, kind of the backstory of that one. My wife always got annoyed of two of our kids because they constantly narrate through movies. So we decided to start finding like these really bad like movies that are just so horrible that nobody really watches them, like old B-rated movies.
Okay.
And then they start recording. You can't hear any of the movie um over the podcast because we don't want to get nailed with copyright or anything like that. But they start recording right at the beginning of the movie and they talk through it. And we've actually had a lot of positive feedback through that. I mean, the first movie they did was Sand Sharks, and that was bad. Like
Oh
at
my
the end of it,
gosh.
I'm just sitting there thinking, man, I just lost an hour and a half of my life to this.
So
But
you have a podcast making fun of bad movies.
yeah, kind of like a Science Theater 3000 show. I don't know if you know what that is.
That's yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I
it's fun.
mean,
A lot of it's fun. I mean, I can't really complain about it.
I talk to people every day who are just sweating, what my podcast is going to be about, what's my niche, what's my title. You're over here going, you know what? Just throw out a podcast called, bullshit. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
and,
And
and it works.
yeah,
It's working for it.
we've played Cards Against Humanity on it,
Oh, goodness.
which we don't like say cards we're doing a Cards Against Humanity show because we tried that once a long time ago and actually got yelled at by them.
I'm sure. Yeah, a little copyright issue right there. Yeah,
Yeah. So we got
sure.
yelled at by them. So we don't say their name, but we can like read off the cards and stuff like that. And we've had a lot of fun with that. It's just someone you get bored and you're like, hey, I bet this would be great. We tried it. It works.
It's amazing, man. I mean, all your whole family's doing this.
Hmm.
So let me ask a couple of podcasty type of questions, okay, about this sort of thing. Are all you guys like just sharing the same equipment, or is everybody going out and buying their own stuff? I mean, how's that working, especially with a family?
We share all of our own equipment. I mean, we have a nice little studio set up. I mean, I can kind of like we got like I don't I can't.
Oh, there you go.
We have a board, and then we've got our own little like interview spot, and yeah, we've got a little studio set up, and I mean it works for the most part. Granted, it'd be nice once we can afford to kind of get an actual studio,
Yeah, but
but
that's a nice setup in the house, especially when the kids can just walk in, plug in, and go.
yep.
That's
And I
awesome.
mean, a lot of it, like some of our kids, they run off of one of our laptops or something like that. my one son does his builds. He basically just puts the camera on the laptop and just goes, and that's how he does them. It's real simple, easy, and I can go through and I don't really have to do a whole lot of editing. So,
Nice.
yep,
Simple and easy is great. That's great for everybody. Just keep it simple, keep it easy.
yep,
That's beautiful. Um, okay, so wow. I mean, is this almost like therapy for everybody or something? I mean, is this just a
yeah.
great way for everybody to be expressing themselves? I mean, what gets a whole family into doing podcasting?
It just basically started when I started doing it, and then my wife's, she liked it, started doing it. Our kids would come out and see what we were doing, and they all wanted to kind of get started and get rolling with it. And we were like, if we're taking over the network and we want to make it a family thing, why not? Let them have some fun and experiment on what they want to do and get some creative juices out. And each one of them found something a little different that they like. And some of them haven't, you know, gotten a lot of views or whatever, but it still works out because they have fun with going back and like telling their classmates and everything about what they've done, and they've went on there. And we've actually been kind of surprised when we found out that people have been like, "Oh yeah, we've seen that." And I mean, like my oldest son before he actually got on it, and you could hear my one son in the background. He Brantley, come here. Here's a couple of them. Here's Brantley. He does mini Pistons.
How you doing, buddy? He's like, who is this guy? Why am I waving at this
And then
guy?
he says hi. And then Caden, here, come here a minute, Caden. He's the one that does the ghost hunting and the wants to be a wizard and stuff like that.
Nice.
Hi.
Nice to meet you, man. All
He
right.
says hi. And then, hey Jay, come here a minute. Jaden's our one that does the Adventures of Jay. Come here. You want to say hi?
What's up? How's it going?
Hi.
Hey.
So there's three of them.
Nice.
Okay, Jay, bud, gotta be quiet, bud. I'm on a show, bud.
Hey,
Guys, go play, okay?
this is for
Bye.
podcasters, man. We all get it.
What? I don't know. Ask mom. And this
we
is if you listen to many of the shows, you'll have that quite a bit where one of them comes in and interrupts or something, and it's like,
Yep.
"I'm doing a show, man." They're like, "Oh yeah, well, here's what I want."
And I love that that's just the style of your show. It's like, just go with it. Hey, this is
Yep,
life, right? This is real life. You want authentic
yep.
me? Here you go.
That's
So,
pretty much how it's always gone. And I mean, there's been shows where like my wife's come in and asked me questions, or like when where we used to live, and that I do shows right in our bedroom at times or out in our garage. And like there's been so many times where Brantley comes in and he's like, "Hey, do you know where this is?" It's like, "I'm doing a show, man." Okay. They walk away, and then a couple minutes later, "Hey Dad, do you know where?" It's like, "Dad."
doing a show, son. Yep.
Yep. But I mean, that's how we've always handled it, and it's worked out good, and we've actually had nobody get mad about it. Everybody's just kind of laughed it off, like, whatever. So yeah, I mean, the one show we just can't have any kids listen to, like um the shots from the balcony, the one that originally started everything off. We try to
Yeah.
kind of keep kids away from that one because it's been in so many different avenues that you would not believe.
Sure.
But we actually found out when our oldest son was in high school, he come up and he goes, um, these kids at school know who you are. I'm like, oh, great. Like, yeah, it's like a whole bunch of 16 and 17-year-olds were listening to our show, but we just, we put in the beginning of it, please only be 18 to listen to it and all that stuff. But yeah, come to find out there was actually a following in high school for our one show that they shouldn't have been listening to.
Oh, jeez.
Because that show, if you get a chance, it goes down rabbit holes that I mean, the first one of the first shows that I was on, one of the best shows that I was on, it's called Tiny Humans, and it goes everywhere from we explained about like panda reproduction because we were looking it up and found out that pretty much male pandas go in and rape female pandas when they're hibernating, and that's how they reproduce.
Yeah,
It
I
would.
believe you. We don't need to share that with everybody. I got you. I got you.
I mean, we even went to ET porn, which there's a niche for. We didn't even realize it.
All right. Okay.
So yeah, like I said, I can surprise you.
You did. I really
But
didn't think you
yeah,
could. This is my fault. I challenged you. I was like, no, you're not going to be able to surprise me. You're like, oh, really? Hold
well,
my beer. Here we go.
the I can tell you the one thing that's not on the internet that we could not find, but I don't know if you really want that said.
I think we're good.
Okay.
I think we can pull this back over onto the rails now. All right,
But
and
that
we're
show
good.
goes all over the place, and if you want a good laugh, that is one to listen to.
That's
But just
awesome.
don't listen to it at work.
Uh, Fair warning. Gotcha. We'll list all the shows in the show notes. I'll have to go back and forth with you, make sure we're including everything. But
Okay.
we'll list everything we can, put all the links that we can in there, and try and get as much pub as we can for everybody's show. So
That's my water.
I think that's awesome though. There's parents everywhere who are like, how do I connect with my kid? I'm trying to come up with something I can do with them. You've answered those questions. It's like, be creative. Here you go, and your whole
Mhm.
family's united in this activity, which is from a family standpoint is just really encouraging and cool, man.
Yeah,
Really
it's
cool.
just trying to get them sometimes motivated to do a couple shows and get some out there, but I can't really complain because there'll be times where and you can hear my dogs probably in the background too
Mm,
now,
mm.
but there'll be times where I'll do like 3 or 4 shows in a month, and then there'll be like a month or two where I haven't had the time to get anything out.
Yeah, sure.
But we're actually starting up another podcast too to kind of salute to the military.
Oh, nice.
So we've
Nice.
got a huge guest for our first show for that one, and he's a good friend of ours and ex-military, and just I don't want to give too much of that one away yet,
Yeah.
but that show's going to be called Dagon Podcast.
Okay.
So, which a military term for goddamn.
Right. Gotcha.
So
Yep. I work with a lot of
that
veterans, man. I work with a ton of veterans in my other projects and stuff that I do, and
so
there's
that's
not enough of that. There's just not enough of that. So I applaud you for doing
mhm.
something very cool.
So
Very,
we're
very
hoping to kind of get some military guests on with that one too. So,
right on. Well, I probably have a couple for you. I'll
oh,
when you
gladly.
get that running, I'll send them your way, man. It's
Okay.
yeah, that's really cool. Awesome, man. So, all right. Now you've I'm guessing you've monetized this, or are you in the process of doing that, or when you own the whole platform? I mean, that's a whole different kind of a beast. Have you had a chance to work through that, or succeed in that in some way? If you want to
We're
share that, you don't have to share that if you don't want to, but that's something we ask.
we're working on that. We're trying to get sponsors and everything. So far, all of this comes out of our pockets.
Hmm.
So we've been trying to work with that. We've got another podcast network that we've actually kind of been talking to figure out how to do this, which like I mentioned earlier with the Live Ride podcast, they have a network down in Arizona that is called Network, or yeah, Network. And the guy that runs that, he's actually working with me, trying to help me get more established and get more moving and try to actually make this more of a job, because I love my job, but this doesn't feel like a job, and this is what I'd love to do.
I'm power to you, man. I think it's great. It took me years to get there, and I've actually been able to do it, and it's tough, but
Mhm.
you're on the right track for sure, man. You got vectors coming in, and you got all sorts of stuff out in the line, and you got a big group and a network. I mean, you're doing things pretty cool. This is going to work out for you. It really is.
We're hoping so.
Yeah, I
Because like
see
I
that
said,
coming.
I'd love to quit my job and actually just do this and enjoy doing this more. And because to me, this doesn't feel like work. This
Right
is
on.
something where I just love getting creative and like putting our own designs together and going through and doing this, and then watching the numbers to see like, okay, what's working, what's not. And I mean, I'll probably drive my wife nuts with it once in a while with, hey, we got this much and we got this going, and wow, we had this many views on this. It's like, and at times she's like, okay, we got other things to worry about right now. We just need to focus on that and not on that. It's like, all right. And then I'm pretty much ADD. It's like, squirrels constantly. So trying to keep everything straight and do all that and make sure everything's still going good it's something at times.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I really do. I hear you. Speaking of loving what you're doing, time for the corny question. If
All
you're
right.
ready for it. All right, I warned you about it. So, all right, corny question. What do you love the most about podcasting? What do you hate the most about podcasting?
I love the fact that I can actually talk to people and broaden my horizons and learn more about what other people do. And the fact that, yeah, a lot of it is like a therapy. I get to just kind of get stuff out. There's been sometimes on a couple different shows, it's been little rants and stuff like that, which is kind of nice because I can let go of my frustrations and all that. But the one thing I don't like about it, the business side sometimes can get really hectic and just trying to figure out how to make something work and then like frustrated with the equipment like I was earlier before coming on the show. That's why I was a
Right.
couple minutes late. Um, that gets frustrating and then like once in a great while the kids will come onto the computer and switch something and all of a sudden I go to make something work and it's like why is this not working? And I have no idea what they did and they don't remember what they did. And that can get frustrating at times, but all in all, I can honestly say there's things I don't like about it, but at the end, I don't hate it. I can deal with it because the good outweighs the bad.
Love it. Love it, man. Love that. Love that. Love that. Great answers. That's why I keep asking that question because I keep getting just awesome answers from everybody. All right, last
Cool.
question because it's late. You got a family. You're giving me all this time. I can't tell you how grateful I am for you. Coming on, man. But one last question, and
Sure.
I like to end with this because everybody has a different level of experience, and they've all been through different things. And brother, you got 9 years. I mean, you've seen a lot in your time doing this. So right now you're talking to a podcaster who maybe has like the 6 to 12 episode mark somewhere in there. They have done it just long enough that they know they really enjoy it. They want to keep going with it, and they're like, okay, now what? Right.
Mhm.
So what's your best piece of advice for that type of new podcaster to go off and try and be not financially successful but to go off and be successful as a podcaster?
Just, when you find something you love to talk about and hey, there's other people out there that want to talk about it, that's the best thing to do. I mean, you can get your information out and plus always keep an open mind and listen to what people have to tell you because like they say, there's always somebody out there that knows more than you do. And always use, I mean, everything, the good, the bad, all that comes in as far as like talking to people. You can either, use it or you can just kind of take it with a grain of salt, but it, just do what you love, enjoy it. Because I mean, there's so many other things around in life and that are hectic and can cause frustrations and just make you want to pull your hair out, like with me, what little I've got up there still. Um, find something you love doing and you want to talk about and just roll with it. You'll find there's always somebody else out there that wants to talk about the same stuff or listen to people that are talking about it. And sometimes like the people that they have around them, they don't connect on that different type of level. Or, sometimes there's things that people don't want to come out and talk about, but they love listening to somebody else talk about it. And it kind of helps them move out of their comfort zone and kind of get out and maybe say, hey, I love talking about this. I don't hear anybody talking about this. And there's probably other people that are, stuck in a closet that aren't talking about it. Maybe they'll want to, or maybe that'll help them open up and people can understand how they are. So, yeah, like I said, just find something you love and just roll with it.
Love it. Absolutely love it, man. Great advice. Great advice from a guy who has been around. So listen up, everybody. That is fantastic. David, brother, I can't thank you enough. I mean, you've shared so much about your family and your story and your show. I know everybody's going to want to tune into one of these shows somewhere.
I
So
hope so. That'll help.
I can't even imagine listening to this podcast and not just being curious enough to go click some links. So we will definitely get that stuff put in the show notes. All my best to you and your family. If there's ever anything I can do to help you guys out, don't hesitate. And yeah, I tell you what, man, I appreciate your authenticity and your honesty and being on the show tonight.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to do it. Anytime you want me on, I'm more than, willing to be on.
Yeah, I got a feeling we'll be talking again. You're going to have 15 new things in the next week, so I'm going to have to keep it up with you. So all your kids are going to be like knocking on Joe Rogan's door.
Oh, that'd be nice.
So there you go. All right, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Folks, you've had another fantastic episode of the Podcaster Nation with another awesome podcaster who's got another awesome show, a fabulous story, a great message. Folks, that's what this is all about here. I mean, everything that David's been saying, it's we're a community. We're all doing the same thing. We all love what we're doing, or we would not be doing it. And we're here to help one another. So, if you're looking for David or his wife or any of his kids, any of this that you would love to interview on your show, contact them. The stuff's going to be in the show notes.
Mhm.
If you want to be on their show, contact them. If you're sitting there going, "Hey, I love working on cars," you know what? Send something over and give these guys a heads up. Let's work with each other. Let's interview each other. Let's keep everything moving forward. This is the podcast where we are for podcasters. We are about podcasters and we're done by podcasters. This is the place where the rising tide raises all ships. So keep sailing and we'll talk soon.